Welcome to Stuck in the Gravel. You're here with Daniel.
And Chloe.
Today, we'll be discussing the 11th round held in Spielberg, Austria, and the 12th round of the season held in Silverstone, United Kingdom.
So, starting off with FP1, which was held on Friday the 27th of June. George Russell led the session with a lap time of 1 minute 5 seconds, 0.542, followed by Max Verstappen, who was 600ths off. Then Oscar Piastri, who was 1/10 off, and Alex Dunn, notably a McLaren junior driver, doing his rookie run, and he was 2/10 off. Dino Beganovic, who was in FP1 for Ferrari, finished in 18th position. Notably quite a good run there for Alex Dunn, especially for a rookie.
No, it could have been better, but you have got to think that Alex Dunn has already done TPC as well with McLaren, so
True, but still, considering.
Yeah, I know, but it is what it is. I think you can't really knock someone for that. I don't know. Maybe it just needs more time in the car. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. So Russell led the session, edging out Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri, and rookie Alex Dunn shone in 4th place. Gasly's P5 and Ferrari's Hamilton P9, hampered by gearbox issues, rounded out the top 10. On to FP2, which was held on Friday afternoon. And Lando Norris topped the timesheets with a 1 minute 4.580. And Oscar Piastri followed 1/10 behind. And then Max Verstappen, who was 3/10 behind Lance Stroll with Aston Martin, who was 4/10, and Charles Leclerc, who was with Ferrari and was 6/10. So McLaren knocked out the top 2 with Norris leading Piastri. Verstappen, Stroll and Leclerc rounded out the podium of the session. An FP3 was held on Saturday the 28th of June, and Lando Norris topped the timesheets again with a 1 minute 4.324. Oscar Piastri followed 1/10 behind. Max Verstappen 2/10 behind. Charles Leclerc was 2.5 behind. Lewis Hamilton was just shy of 5/10. George Russell was just shy of 7/10. Kimi Antonelli was 7/10 and 200ths behind. Lance Stroll was 7/10 and 300ths behind, while Yuki Tsunoda was 8/10 and 100th behind, and Gabriel Bortoleto rounded out the top 10 and was 8.5 behind. Norris again topped the session by a narrow margin over Piastri, and Verstappen edged out Leclerc and Hamilton for P3 and to P5, and Mercedes rounded out the top 7 to 8. So the key takeaways were McLaren's superiority, as they dominated FP2 and FP3 with clean 1-2 finishes, cementing their form. Mercedes started strong, as Russell led the FP1 with showing that Mercedes was still competitive. Rookie spotlight, where Alex Dunn impressed in FP1, placing P4 just 2/10, 200ths and 4,000ths off the top, a standout debut. And Ferrari were steady with Leclerc and Hamilton, who maintained top 5 ranking in FP2 and FP3, signalling solid race pace. Red Bull were very consistent, as Verstappen stayed in top 3 each session but remained off McLaren by 0.2 to 0.3 seconds.
As we look into Formula 2, for qualifying, the pole position went to Leonardo Fornaroli for Invicta Racing with 1 minute 15.229. In second place was Victor Martins for ART Grand Prix, being 1.5 hundredths behind. In third place was Richard Verschoor for MP Motorsport, who was a 1/4 hundredth. Yeah. Notably, Alex Dunn qualified P7, and a rookie like Dino Beganovic down in P21. For the sprint race on the 28th of June, it was 28 laps. Pepe Marti won for Campos Racing. Joshua Dirksen was in second for AIX. and Roman Stanek in third for Invicta. The fastest lap went to Kushmini for Dams Lucas Oil with a 1 minute 18.589 on lap 25. The race saw a red flag on lap 2 after Sami Megatuni's rollover and a late safety car after Goethe and Beganovic contact. For the feature race on the 29th of June, it was 40 laps. Richard Verschoor won that for MP Motorsport. Leonardo Fornaroli yet again in second for Invicta. Jack Crawford was in third for Dams, who was promoted after Alex Dunn was disqualified.
In Formula 3, in qualifying on the 27th of June, Nicolas Solov took pole for Campos Racing, and it was his second pole of the year. In second was Brad Benavides for AIX Racing, and in third was Noah Stromsted with Trident. Right, the sprint race was held on the 28th of June with 21 laps, where James Wharton with ART Grand Prix took his maiden win. Followed in second by Alessandro Giusti for MP Motorsport, and third was Nicolas Solov, Campos Racing, promoted after penalties. And the fastest lap was took by Martinius Stenshorn for High-Tech TGR from lap 8 with 1 minute 23.107. The feature race was on the 29th of June and had 26 laps in total, with Martinius Stenshorn taking first place for High-Tech TGR. Tim Tramnitz took second for MP Motorsport, and Mari Boyer took third for Campos Racing. Pole sitter Solov originally finished first, but was later disqualified for plank violations, elevating Stenshorn for the win.
Championship impacts and insights. For F2, Verschoor takes the championship lead thanks to his feature race win and Dunn's penalty. Marty's sprint win boosts his position too. For F3, Kamara remains the points leader, Solov's impressive race pace undone by the feature race disqualification. Wharton and Stenshorn secure big results.
So, for F1 qualifying, in Q1 there were early surprises and a rising rookie. The first part of qualifying saw intense midfield battles, with track evolution playing a huge role as grip levels steadily improved. McLaren and Ferrari looked strong from the outset, with Norris and Piastri trading top spots. But the real story was rookie Gabriel Bortoleto, who impressed by pushing his Sauber into the top 10 early in the session. On the other end of the spectrum, drama struck Carlos Sainz, who was plagued by braking issues and failed to progress beyond Q1, qualifying P19, a shock for the Williams driver. Lance Stroll, Esteban Ocon, Yuki Tsunoda and Nico Hülkenberg also failed to make out of the first segment. The session was tight, with just a few tenths covering several drivers, and small errors proved costly in such a short lap at the Red Bull Ring. In Q2, there was red flag chaos and big eliminations. It delivered even more drama when a grass fire broke out trackside, caused by Lewis Hamilton's off-track excursion, triggering a red flag stoppage. The session was delayed and conditions changed subtly as temperatures dropped, which added unpredictability. McLaren, Ferrari and Mercedes all looked safe, while drivers like Lawson and Antonelli fought hard for top 10 spots. In a surprise twist, Pierre Gasly scraped through into Q3 despite a messy final sector, while experienced names like Fernando Alonso, Alex Albon and rookies Isaac Hadjar, Franco Colapinto and Oliver Behrman were eliminated. The Q2 red flag meant some drivers couldn't complete second push laps, causing controversy in the paddock, as several were caught out by timing and yellow flag.
On to Q3, Norris delivers a crushing pole. Q3 belongs completely to Lando Norris, who delivered a stunning pole lap of 1 minute 3.971, a full 0.521 seconds ahead of second place Charles Leclerc, the largest pole gap of the season. Norris was in a league of his own, maximising every corner of the short and technical Austrian layout. Behind him, Piastri seemed on pace to challenge for P2, but lost time after being affected by Gasly's off in turn 4, compromising his final flying lap. That allowed Leclerc to secure the front row for Ferrari, with Hamilton taking a solid P4, just behind Piastri. George Russell lined up P5 and rookie Liam Lawson stunned by placing P6 in the Racing Bulls. Max Verstappen, after encountering yellow flags during his run, was limited to P7, a disappointing result at Red Bull's home race. Bortoleto, Antonelli and Gasly completed the top 10, marking a Q3 that mixed proven pace with rising star power.
So, to the race weekend overview. The weather and track were warm and dry, with ambient temps around 30 degrees Celsius and track heating over 48 degrees Celsius. tough on tyres and brakes. With the track updates, there was no major resurfacing. Teams focused on optimising downforce for the medium-low downforce Red Bull Ring, particularly in Sector 1, aero efficiency. Headlines included McLaren's dominating the practice and qualifying, with Norris leading every session he participated in. Ferrari's upgrades, including a new floor, paid off for Leclerc and Hamilton as they locked out P2 and P4 in qualifying.
Can we just point out, like, especially with just in general the whole weekend, especially with qualifying, I'm going to have to say this. I still even think if there was no yellow flag and Max got to finish his lap, Piastri was able to do a final flying run, whatever, I still sit there and will believe that Lando would have still taken pole.
Yeah.
I do think he genuinely was just out there, and confidence was with him. You know, it was on his side. That new suspension that he's got seems to have given him that edge, back to how it was at the start of the season. And I don't know. I just feel that. I don't know if I keep saying this, but I do believe that it's going to swing back his way. I mean, that's what now. Lando's had one DNF, and then he had that one crash in qualifying, was it? Qualifying of the race at Saudi?
Qualifying, I think.
Yeah, it was one of them. But considering he's had that and being only 15 points behind Piastri, there's a lot of the community sitting there saying that, you know, Norris will never catch Piastri and whatnot. But I'm not being funny. Like, one driver's had one or two DNFs. The other one's had none, finished every race, and he's only 15 points ahead. Make that make sense? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we are at what? We're going into round 12? Yeah? There's still, what, another 12 races after this?
Yep.
I don't want to be that guy, but end of the day, look, your driver's only 15 points ahead.
Yeah.
And that can switch around in 12 races like that before you know it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that if Max and Piastri had both been able to finish their flying runs, I don't think that they would have caught that. And I do agree with you, because I think Lando just, I don't know, I think when he set that 1 minute 4 lap and got his first, like, top of the timesheets, I think that just kind of set him for, okay, right, I've done that. Let's just push, see what we can get. Because I think at the end of the day, he was a bit like, do you know what? I'm up there. The worst that's going to happen is going to get like P2, P3. But I think he just kind of had a newfound confidence with that.
But to be honest, as well as it would have been 0.521 seconds, that's still quite a big gap, you know.
Yeah.
Like that, he must have done, what, 2 or 3 tenths on his final run?
Yeah.
On his own time. So, you know, it is what it is, but I think you've just got to sit there and say, like, look, yeah, you got to keep it real, and there was no way anyone was going to catch up to him. So the qualifying recap and grid impact. The pole went to Lando Norris, who took a commanding pole with a 1:03.971, over half a second ahead. Row 1 and 2, Leclerc was in P2, Piastri P3, and Hamilton in P4, setting the stage for McLaren versus Ferrari in race start dynamics.
Race start and opening lap. Norris nailed the start and led into turn 1. Immediately behind, Piastri overhauled Leclerc for P2. Incidents included a delayed start due to Carlos Sainz's brakes catching fire on the formation lap. On lap 1, Kimi Antonelli locked up at turn 3 and collided with Max Verstappen, ending Verstappen's race and triggering the first safety car.
Key moments and battles, overtakes and on-track action. Piastri versus Leclerc. Piastri passed Leclerc at the start, then pressured Norris throughout, briefly taking the lead late via DRS, but Norris fought back. Some midfield gems such as Hulkenberg finished P9 after charging from the back, while Liam Lawson took a strong P6 for racing bulls. McLaren played a strategic mirroring game, Piastri, Peter earlier, undercut attempt, but Norris regained clear track and led post stops. Ferrari's Hamilton hesitated on his stop call, debating team versus driver instincts, eventually pitting, finishing P4. The safety car after Verstappen's exit bunched the field, compressing gaps and offering strategic diversity, but didn't derail McLaren's 1-2 pacing. Penalties and controversies. Colapinto got a 5-second penalty for forcing Piastri off the track, and Tsunoda received a 10-second time penalty for following a collision with Colapinto. Do you want to talk about that, actually? Should we start with the Colapinto incident with Piastri?
Yeah. I think that was...
Because...
because I thought about this, obviously Piastri was trying to lap him. But I think even if Piastri wasn't trying to lap him, that was a very daft move.
Whose side you got? It sounds like you're leaning towards Colapinto.
No, I'm leaning towards Piastri's.
Because I was sat there watching at the time and I was like, hang on a minute. You're coming up to a battle between two cars that you know are racing.
Yeah.
Why have you gone to the inside?
I think...
Why?
No, I do think...
There was so much space on the outside to go round on the left, but he decided to go to the right. And he should have known that Colapinto was going to jump into his slipstream, stay behind him.
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, they were all kind of running their own races. Piastri was trying to catch up to Norris. You had Colapinto, who was in his own battle, and I think Piastri just kind of wanted to get through cleanly, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
I think you can't really knock him for trying to get through cleanly, because obviously at the end of the day, he's trying to race to get that win. So I think he just wanted to get through quickly and cleanly and have no problems with that, as there shouldn't be with when you're lapping cars, because, you know, blue flags. But I think in terms of for like Colapinto, if obviously it's very difficult for them because they're having to focus on doing so much as well as when they're in the battle, and then they're trying to focus on like, where's this driver at, how can I get around them, all that sort of stuff. And then you see another driver coming up in your like mirrors and you're like, oh god, like, you know what I mean? And I do get it, but I think at the end of the day that he shouldn't have done that anyway, because it was foul play. Even if it wasn't a driver that was trying to lap him, and even if it was a driver trying to overtake him, yes, you've got to try and defend, but that isn't your way to defend.
No. But, yeah, I think it's one of those, isn't it? Why I understand you're trying to jump straight into the slipstream to get back past the driver who's just overtaken you. But it gives you no right to cut off someone who's trying to attack for the win.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think that regardless if that didn't happen, I still think that Norris is...
Yeah.
Because I feel like Norris had pushed first, obviously he pit first, and then Oscar pit, whatever. So there was a stage of Oscar had that overcut in a way, so he could use his tyres more, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I still think Oscar would have pushed his tyres way too much, pushing past through all of the lapped cars. His tyres would have gone off, and I feel like by the time he'd have actually got within a second of Norris and trying to manage his way through all these back markers,
yeah,
it'd have wasted his tyres. I still don't think he'd have got past, unless he went for one of those moves where he would have just sent it down the inside and tries to catch Norris napping, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And then as for the Tsunoda incident,
I thought that was just...
It was
pure dirty,
yeah,
I think I'd say.
It was plain. I don't think he deliberately did it, because I don't think a driver would go in with intent to do that. He did kind of lock up, and I think...
Yeah, no.
That corner's been known for so many incidents, especially Hamilton Albon in the past. That's a big one.
No, I agree with you, but I think as well, though, seeing kind of Yuki's aggression on track, he's very much can be like that a bit sometimes, so I think you never know whether it's intentional or not, because I think that was a bit similar to the move with Colapinto, where it's a bit of a like desperation to defend, desperation to attack, kind of pressure and stress, kind of. I think with some drivers it definitely got to them, but yeah, I just thought that was quite a dirty move anyway, so...
Yeah, it's deserved. I mean, Colapinto's got, what, a 3 second... No, not 3-second, a 3-place grid penalty for Britain.
Yeah, I think so.
Following, obviously, what happened with Piastri, which is deserved. End of the day, you've done what you've done.
Yeah. No, the 3-place grid penalty went to Kimi, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. My bad.
He got his 5-second one for forcing Piastri off the track.
I'm genuinely
got the
surprised
one
Colapinto didn't get penalised more for that.
I think
they've
all
got these
things
weird
considered,
rules.
I do think that the 5-second was deserved. I think maybe 10-second could have been given it a push, but I don't think a grid place penalty would have been efficient, because I think it was an honest mistake, but I think that at the end of the day, all things considered, yes, he shouldn't have done it, because even if it wasn't a car that was trying to lap him, it was still a really, like, dirty move. But, like...
Yeah, I mean...
I think, all things considered, he was in a battle and was trying to defend and was trying to attack and...
Yeah.
You know...
But to be honest, I don't see Colapinto in that Alpine. I think we'll get to the halfway point of the season and he'll be gone.
Yeah, considering he was meant to be a replacement for Jack Doohan, and Jack Doohan didn't really get an opportunity, I think.
But we all know that Alpine are now trying to poach Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah.
So that'd be a pretty... I would love to see Bottas back on the grid. Maybe not an Alpine, but, it is what it is. I'm trying to stay level-headed here, but Alpine's just...
They're becoming a bit like
I
Red Bull, aren't they?
I don't like this Alpine because... And I'll say this now, I'm not a big fan of what's his name. You know what I'm about. Yeah. The guy at the top.
No, not Lawrence Mecchi. Is it Lawrence Mecchi?
No.
That's Racing Bulls, isn't it? Oh.
Crashgate guy. Yeah, I forgot his name. It's not coming to mind.
Got the French name.
Yeah.
No, hold on.
Might have to Google him at this point.
Hold on.
But, I don't know, I just don't really like him because he's just...
Steve Nielsen.
No, he's the new one that's come in.
Briatore.
Yeah, Flavio Briatore, I don't like him. Should never have been allowed back into the sport after what he did. And I can't believe they've allowed it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, because he got the life ban, didn't he?
Yeah, you can't be given a life ban and then have it overturned like that.
But I think not just that as well, putting him in charge of a team, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they've kind of...
Don't get me wrong, he is quite cool, I'll be honest. Seeing him walk around on the grid and stuff like that, being this really big, like, man, whatever, scary, is intimidating, you know what I mean? But you shouldn't even be there. You've done what you've done in the past. You've done that deliberately. Yeah,
it kind of sounds like the FIA, like... going back on what they've said, aren't they? And considering how strict they are with a lot of other things that maybe don't need to be so strict about, it's a bit...
Yeah, I mean, what's his name? Tim Mayer, who used to be part of the FIA, one of the race directors, I think he was, under Mohammed Ben Sulayem. Apparently, I've heard that he's planning to... Now, I don't know if it's true, but apparently he's planning to take part in this election at the end of the year in December for a new FIA president. So, anything better than ruining the sport, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Should we move back onto the race?
Yep. So, on to driver performances. With our top finishers, Lando Norris clinched his third 2025 win in a flawless drive, pole to flag, strong tyre management, mental toughness under late pressure. Oscar Piastri was relentless and got his second place with the fastest lap, and he was aggressive but clean. Charles Leclerc secured P3 with Ferrari's strong pace, albeit a bit off the McLaren toe. And midfield highlights include Lewis Hamilton, who boosted his points with P4, though agile, impressing Ferrari on strategy. Liam Lawson, who was excellent in P6 and gave his team cause for optimism. And Gabriel Bortoleto, who snagged his first career points in P8 amid the midfield chaos. Underperformers and rookies include Max Verstappen, who ended up with a shock retirement that ended his 462-day finishing streak and hampered Red Bull's momentum. It was also that 462
that is
day
wild,
streak.
you know.
Well, no, considering that it was, I think the last time he got DNF'd was by a Mercedes as well.
Start of 2024, wasn't it?
Think so.
Yeah,
And
wasn't
it was
Australia?
by a Mercedes, yeah. Carlos Sainz was left with technical failures and an inability to start, which caused him to DNS. And the rookies, Antonelli was costly for Mercedes with the Verstappen crash. However, Lawson earned kudos for a strong drive.
Teams Championship and impact. McLaren surged in constructors now, leading clearly with 417 points. Ferrari holds solid P2, but yet to threaten McLaren's pace. Red Bull faltered, weathering a home race disaster with retirements and finishes at the back. Internal doubts and development emerged. And as for upgrades, Ferrari's floor upgrade paid dividends in qualifying. Mercedes continued boasting error updates as Hamilton praises.
Fan and social media buzz. Online chatter, where fans dubbed Norris Piastri as one of the most thrilling intra-team battles cleanly contested. And radio highlights included Sainz's admission game over during fire, Hamilton debating pits with the team. And looking ahead to Silverstone. So the championship implications include Piastri, who leads the standings by 15 points over Norris. Verstappen trails by 61 points. Silverstone is a high-speed, high-downforce demand, and it will test brake stability and aero efficiency, again, especially with track evolution and fan energy. Key watch points are: can McLaren sustain their pace? Will Red Bull rebound under Verstappen? And how can Ferrari and Mercedes continue with their aero development?
So the British Grand Prix preview. The location is Silverstone Circuit, United Kingdom. The date is July 4th to the 6th, 2025. It is round 12 of the 2025 Formula 1 World Championship. The track overview is the length being 5.891 kilometres. There is 52 laps. Total distance is 306.198 kilometres. There's 18 corners, high speed mixed with famous sequences like Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. There's DRS zones, 2 of them, Wellington Straight and the Hanger Straight. And the tyres that they'll be using is a C2 for the hard, C3 medium and C4 soft. This year's medium tyre was last year's hard tyre. That's what it is. But, yeah, the track style is fast-flowing, punishing on tyres and aero balance. Key overtaking zones, turn 6 Brooklands, turn 15 Stowe and turn 3 Village. Forecast is cool with a chance of showers on Sunday, meaning strategy and timing could play a huge role.
Storylines heading in include McLaren's momentum, coming off of a dominant 1-2 at the Red Bull Ring. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri head into Norris's home race with confidence sky high. Norris in particular will look to channel crowd support into his 4th win of the season and perhaps take back the Drivers' Championship lead from Piastri. Ferrari's steady resurgence, with Leclerc's consistent podiums and Hamilton's improving form, to make Ferrari a real threat, especially if they can qualify strongly. Their straight line speed still trails McLaren, but upgrades in Austria close the gap slightly. Are Red Bull in trouble? Verstappen's DNF in Austria was his first retirement since early 2024, and it came at Red Bull's home track, with car development slowing and pressure from McLaren and Ferrari growing. All eyes are on whether Verstappen can bounce back at a venue where he's historically performed well. Antonelli will also need a mistake-free weekend to recover confidence after the Austria crash.
Drivers to watch. Lando Norris, Britain's new fan favourite, is riding momentum and knows this is his race to win. Oscar Piastri, quietly leading the championship, can he keep it going under the Silverstone spotlight? Lewis Hamilton, his first British GP as a Ferrari driver. Expect emotional support and a fully committed drive. Gabriel Bortoleto scored his first points in Austria. Can he repeat that at a high-speed track like Silverstone? Oliver Behrman as well. Just in general, I think someone's going to perform this week.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully, much like with like Lando and Lewis, how they kind of connect with that fan buzz and that kind of gives them that, like, I feel like it just gives them an oomph. It does, like, with every driver at every home race.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah.
If we also look at technicalities as well with FP1, there was 6 drivers from Britain
Yeah.
that were driving. Now, obviously, you've got your 5. So your 5 was obviously Arvid Lindblad was stepping in. Then you had your Lando, your Hamilton, Behrman, Russell. That's your 5. Liam Lawson, a breakout P6 last week. The Racing Bulls are quietly strong on medium downforce circuits.
Silverstone is known for high tyre degradation, especially in the long right-handers like Luffield. 2-stop races being common unless weather interferes, and undercuts are powerful due to the long pit exit time and cold tyre warm-up challenges. The weather variable is a wet qualifying or a damp race that could favour smooth operators like Leclerc or Hamilton.
The championship picture before Silverstone. For the Drivers' Championship, Piastri still leads the way with 216 points. Norris in second with 201. Verstappen in third with 155 has massively fell off from the 2 McLaren's. In fourth is Leclerc with 139. And in fifth is George Russell with 110. Now, to be honest, everyone's saying he's had a phenomenal season. I'll agree with that. 110 points seems quite low. But, I don't know, maybe I'm just looking into it too much, I think.
No, I think he's had a pretty good season because I think
it feels like he's always been up
kind
there,
of,
though. There's that feeling that he's just...
well, I think considering he was kind of always in Hamilton's shadow, in a way, because I think he was always the favoured British driver.
He was, but he beat him fair and square, 2 or 3 years on the bounce.
But
so.
I think this time for Russell, it's proper, like, he's getting all his recognition that he deserves, and with the Mercedes being a bit unreliable, I think I'd say 110 points is pretty decent.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And as for the constructors, McLaren has 417 points, Ferrari has 282, Red Bull has 257, Mercedes has 189, and the Racing Bulls are now in the top 5 with 93.
I'd say something to mention though with that Mercedes points is 110 of those points are Russell, 79 are Antonelli. And considering that other rookies, e.g. Bortoletto and Behrman, I think hasn't actually scored any. He's scored some points, hasn't he? Like,
I'd like to...
only a few.
Yeah, what I'd like to talk about as well is the positions between 6th and 9th in the championship. They are massively close. Like, to be honest, I think you could include Alpine at the very bottom as well, because, like, you know, Alpine are known for getting halfway through the season and building off that. So there's 4 teams there that are battling just for P6.
Yeah.
It's exactly what's needed in F1.
Yep.
It's perfect. But yeah, do you want to move on to predictions?
So, for F3 pole, I have gone with Tim Tramnitz.
For F3 pole, I've gone with Martinius Stenshorn. On the back of a great weekend, he's come straight to Silverstone. I reckon he's going to do his job and, you know, show off.
Fair enough. F3 sprint, I've gone for Rafael Kamara.
I've gone with the exact same. I think
at this point it's kind of...
He has, but he's not got a comfortable lead no more because of Nicolas Solov.
I've got to say as well, F3 feature race, I've gone with Nicolas Solov because I think he's kind of steadily climbed up, hasn't he?
But should we talk about it in terms of experience?
True.
And this is not to knock Nicolas Solov in any way, but he's been in F3 how many seasons?
2 now, I think.
Yeah. Isn't this Kamara's first season?
I don't know.
First or second season?
No, it is his first, I think.
Yeah.
F2 pole, I've gone with Alex Dunn.
Yeah, I've gone with Alex Dunn as well. I really do like the guy. I think he's...
Yeah.
I don't know, he's just like a regenerated Max Verstappen. But like, I don't know, I just get glimpses of when Max was young.
Yeah.
Like 2015, 2016, that Max Verstappen, feisty. I want to see him in F1 really bad. But,
same. No, I agree. F2 sprint, I've gone with Arvid.
I've gone with Luke Browning.
See, well, both of them British drivers.
Yeah.
So, to be fair...
I think it's a British type. Yeah.
Either way, I think both of those results would be very good. I think it would definitely make the British fans happy.
Yeah.
Not to make them this isn't going to make him any more happy, but F2 feature, I've gone with Jack Crawford.
See, now I've gone with the British. Yeah, I've gone with the British clean sweep. F2 feature race, I've gone with Arvid Lindblad. They've got the whole crowd backing them. No matter, I feel like if you're an F2 driver, and it's different to F1 in terms of fans, you're going to have every Brit there ramping you. You're going to have it. Yeah.
I think as soon as Brits see the British flag on the car, they're like, oh,
we'll like them.
Go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I don't know, I have a feeling that Crawford might just pull something out of the bag, especially after last weekend when he didn't get to join that restart in F2 after Sammy Megatina's rollover.
Yeah.
And then having to kind of go into the Sunday and try and do really well. I don't know, I just have a feeling that he's going to proper perform. On to F1 pole, I've gone with George Russell.
So I really like that shout. I think that's really good. Although I've gone with Lando Norris. I think confidence, hopefully, is there.
No, I agree. I have
2 years in a
feeling.
row on the podium
True.
for 23 and 24, second and third. Is it his time now to get that win? Because I have put him down as my F1 winner.
Same. I was going to say, I think George Russell might take pole and Lando Norris might get the win. I think that would be quite a cool one, to be fair.
Is that down to just race pace, though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
More so than anything. Because I think the Mercedes are very good at qualifying. They're not so great with the long stints of the races. And I'm not saying that George Russell's not going to do well, because I'm kind of hoping that it's going to be well, no, I'm not kind of hoping. I am hoping it would be a decent finish for the Brits, because obviously it's a British race. But yeah, I don't think he's going to keep that win. I think that's going to go to Lando Norris. So
should we throw in a cheeky little podium prediction?
Go on then.
Right, here we go. Time to cook. Lando Norris, Ollie Behrman, George Russell. I'm joking.
I was going to say
That'd be amazing, but
that
no.
would be.
That'd be amazing, but no. Lando Norris winner, obviously. Second place, Oscar Piastri. I've got this feeling in my mind that something's going to happen at turn 1, because we know what turn 1, 2 and 3 are like. Yeah. And third, I'm going to say Lewis Hamilton.
Okay.
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton. I like the sound of that.
Right then, for me, I'm going to go, obviously, Lando Norris first. I agree with you about Oscar Piastri, but just for the sake of hoping it's going to be a British podium, I'd go with George Russell, and I think for third I'd go with Lewis Hamilton, because in all fairness I was going to say like Lando Norris, Hamilton and Russell, but I don't quite think that the Ferrari has that pace.
It can be equal on pace, but
no, I don't think the Ferrari has that to get to that point in the race,
I think,
and be strong enough for P2.
Lewis Hamilton will just be like Brad Pitt in the F1 movie. He will just sit there and run his own race.
True.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, thank you for tuning into our podcast.
I've been Dan.
And I've been Chloe, and this is Stuck in the Gravel.
This is KIC Radio.